All right, so today we are going to cover the third unit. We are going to start with the third unit, that is related to object-oriented analysis. Now, we have in the first lecture, if you remember, we have covered the topics related to object-oriented analysis, object-oriented technology, object-oriented programming, and object-oriented methodology, right? So these are the certain things which you need to understand before the starting of this particular subject. So we're starting with the object design. Now in your syllabus, it's written object design as in syllabus. But what we are going to start with is the object modeling techniques, right? So let me tell you one thing, that object oriented modeling technique is what? It is a technique what you have done in creating the models. That is, UML is part of that unified modeling language. That is a language with the help of which you can create the models, and we can work over the analysis and the design phase to create a well developed and a successful product, right? So now in this we need to understand, we are not going into very detail of it, but we are saying that object oriented object modeling technique have four stages basically. And what are these four stages? The first stage is called as the analysis phase. Second one is called as the system design. Third one is called as the object design. And fourth one is termed as the implementation. So these are the four stages of object modeling techniques. Basically, in analysis phase, what we are going to do, we are going to decide what we are going to develop, right? So the only focus is all about what. We are not going to focus on how we are going to develop, but we are going to focus on what we are going to develop, what are the features which are need to be added into it, right, for creating the model of real world situation. Now, second one is the system design. Now, when we have already defined or designed or identified that what we are going to develop, we are going to create an overall architecture of that particular system. So that particular is called as the system design. Okay. Third stage comes when we say object design. Now that is what we are going to cover in the today's lecture. Object design says we are going to refine the design, right? We are going to do the refinement in the design which we have already done in the system design part. We are going to work on with the algorithms, with the data structure. We are going to implement the classes, and all these parts are being to be covered in the object design phase. And lastly comes the implementation phase. We all know what is implementation. Implementation is when we are translating all the objects and classes and relationships into a particular object oriented language. That particular translation over a language is called as the implementation part, right? Now we see that with the time we move further from the analysis phase to the implementation phase. Now we have to figure out one more thing, that is we have three types of models also which are to be defined here. These models are called as, first one, the functional model, second one as the dynamic model, and third one as the object model. If you remember, in the earlier lectures I have told you that we have two types or two broad categories of division in the UML diagrams. What were those? Those were dynamic model and behavioral model. Sorry, behavioral model and the structural model. So when we talk about structural model, that was static in nature. So that particular is termed to be as the object model. The diagrams or the modeling which we are doing on the static structure of the objects, of the classes, of the relationships are termed to be as the object model. So these are the models which we have already covered in the UML diagrams, such as object model, object diagram, class diagram, component diagram, package diagram, etc., etc. Right? Second one is called as the dynamic diagram. So dynamic diagram is related to the behavioral model. Behavioral part. Behavioral means it is going to change. That means the model is going to change according to the time. It will not remain static. It is dynamic in nature. So when we define the behavior of a specific model that changes according to the time are called or coming under the category of dynamic models. So those are the state diagrams, activity diagram, sequence diagram, which we have again studied in the earlier lectures. If you want to see that particular topic, you can go through that topic in the earlier lecture videos. Now, third one is called as the functional model. What is this functional model? Functional model is going to define the value transformations, or I would say the data value transformations, in which the data is being flown and it is shown in the form of a diagrammatic format. That is called as the DFD, or the data flow diagram. This we have not studied. This we are going to cover in the further lectures. Okay, so we are just leaving this particular data flow diagram for again for the future lectures. There we will cover this. So this is all these three types of models, that is functional model, dynamic model and object model, are going to create a specific system with the help of which the complete system can be modeled. Because some are coming or some are being focused under the object model, some are being focused under the aspect of dynamic, and some on the aspect of functional model. So this was all for the object modeling techniques, 4 stages and 3 models that you have to remember. Now we are going to focus on the third stage. We are going to focus on the third stage of the object modeling technique according to our syllabus. So we are going to look on this point. The point is object design. Now, what is object design? Object design is just a phase or a stage. Which phase is this? This is the third stage of object modeling technique, right? It determines what we have to determine: the classes, the objects, the associations which are used in the implementation. We are also going to figure out what are the interfaces, how the algorithms and methods are defined and implemented in the operations. So all these identifications of classes, association, interface and algorithms in the implementation operations is termed to be as the phase in the object design. Now we have certain steps in the object design part which are being performed. What are these particular steps? There are 7 steps which are performed in the object design. The first one is called as the object identification. After this, we have object representation. Now, when we say object representation, we are talking about the construction of design model, which we have seen. Okay. Next, we have classification of operations. Fourth, algorithm design. Fifth, design of relationships. Sixth, implementation of control for external interactions. And seventh, as the physical packaging. Right? So we are going to see the steps one by one. First, object identification. Now, when I say object identification, first of all, we need to understand the objects are being identified in the object-oriented analysis phase. So we identify the objects in which phase? In the analysis phase. And what are we going to do? We are going to group these objects into the classes, right? What is a class? Class is a collection of related objects. So what are we going to do? First of all, we are going to identify the objects, and then we are going to group them and convert or group them into the classes. Why we are grouping them into the classes? Because we need to work on for the implementation purpose in further use, right? Now, what are the functions of this stage? They are, first of all, we have to identify the class, right? We have to identify the class in each subsystem. That means if in a system we have number of subsystems or number of modules, so let's say in one module we have to identify all the classes and then define those particular classes. Then we are going to find out the links between the classes and associations between the classes. That means second point is defining the link between two classes, right? Third point, designing the hierarchical association among the classes. Now, I have already told you, or we have already discussed this hierarchical associations in the earlier lectures, where I have discussed about the relationships, right? That was generalization, specialization, inheritance, etc., etc. So these are the ones which we are going to design here in the third point. And lastly, we are going to design the aggregations. So what we are going to do, we are going to first of all identify and refine the classes. Let's say we have identified two classes, class 1 and class 2 of a specific subsystem, of a specific module. Then we are going to identify the relation, that is either the link or the association between them. And then we are going to find out whether there is any hierarchical association among these classes or not. I mean to say, regarding hierarchical, I mean to say the generalization or specialization part, right? Moving further, second step is what? Second step is object representation. Now, once we have identified all the classes, what we are going to do next is we need to represent this in object modeling techniques. We need to use this object modeling technique now after the identification of classes. How we are going to do this? We are going to construct the UML diagrams. We have already studied all types of UML diagrams. So this was the point where we are going to model these particular classes, right? And this was the same thing which I was telling you, that there are two broad classifications of models in terms of UML diagram, right? Those are static model and the dynamic model. Static being the remaining the same according to the even with the time, and dynamic being changing according to the time. When we say static, it means we are talking about the structure, and when we say dynamic, we are talking about the behavior. Just remember this, and then you will always remember these points, right? So it is related to behavior and it is related to the structure. So this is what we are going to do in the object representation. We have studied all types of static models and all types of dynamic models. That is what we are going to do here. Now moving to the third point, we have the classification of operations. Now what is this classification of operations? When we say operations, we mean to say that what we are going to do, we are going to combine three models. We are going to combine three models which we have developed in the analysis phase. And what are the three models? They are object model, dynamic model, and the functional model. So see, there's a difference. In the earlier part where it was object representation, what we were doing only the covering of the dynamic model and the static model. But in this, we are combining the three models which were developed in the analysis phase, and those were developed in the UML part, in the object modeling technique, right? So we are going to focus on what is to be done rather than how it should be done. We are not going to focus on the term of how. No, we are going to focus on the term what is to be done, right? So what are the tasks we are going to perform? We are going to, first of all, for each object, we are going to create a state transition diagram. This is very important part. That means we have to, after the identification of objects and classes and defining the association among them, link among them, and then defining the hierarchical association among them, we need to create or develop the state transition diagram for each object which we are developing. Then what we are going to do, we are going to define the operations. When I say operations, operations are the ones defined as for the events received by the objects. That means objects are defined for the events received by the objects, right? And in some cases, we have to find out those events which are creating or which were triggering events for the other events, right? There are certain events which trigger for the other events to perform the operations. So that is what we are going to figure out. Next point, the sub operations within actions are identified. That means all the actions which are need to be performed, these are being identified as in operations. And what we are going to do, we are going to develop the data flow diagram for the same concept. That means you can just see here what we are developing. We are developing different types of models in this part. We are developing the state transition. State transition diagram is coming under which category? It is coming under dynamic model category. We are creating DFD. DFD is coming under which category? It is coming under the functional model category, right? So this is what we are saying, that this is the combining of the three models developed in OOA phase. Okay. Now moving further to the next point, that is designing of algorithm. Now what we are going to do is we are going to design the algorithm. See, up till now in the analysis phase, what we do, we just identify all the objects and we define the associations. Now with the point comes where we are going to design the algorithm. We all know what is an algorithm. Algorithm is a stepwise procedure which can be used to solve a particular problem, right? So an algorithm is a stepwise procedure that solves the problem laid in an operation. Now, algorithm is going to focus on how, which was not the point in the combining of the operations. There we were focusing on what, but here in algorithm designing, we are going to focus on how it is being done, how it should be done. So there are 4 steps in which we have. First thing is we have to choose the algorithm. Now, when we talk about choosing the algorithm, I've shown here that we have to choose the algorithm as the best suited algorithm. When we say best suited or best algorithm, I mean to say that we need to find out the computational complexity of the algorithm, the flexibility of algorithm, and the ease of implementation of the algorithm. So this is what we have in this matrix. How to choose the optimal algorithm? We can choose it with the 3 parameters. What are these 3 parameters? They are the computational complexity. Computational complexity means what? We are talking in terms of the complexity which is determining the efficiency in terms of computation time and the memory requirement. That means what we are defining, we are going to calculate the efficiency, how much computation time does a specific algorithm requires, how much memory does the specific algorithm requires. That is defined as the computational complexity. So we need to check on this parameter. Second parameter is the flexibility. Flexibility determines whether the chosen algorithm can be implemented suitably without loss of appropriateness in various environments. That means flexibility is what? There are certain algorithms which can be run in specific environment with the appropriate results, but in some environments it is not giving the appropriate result. So we need to make sure that the loss of appropriateness should not be there in any type of environment. That is called as the flexibility of using it in any type of environment. Third is the parameter in which we have defined as the understandability. Now, what is this understandability? Understandability is we are going to choose the algorithm which is easy to understand and easy to implement. That means it should not be very complex. It should do the task in proper way, plus it is easy to understand and implement. So these are the 3 things which we are going to check on to choose the optimal algorithm. That is what choosing of algorithm is. Second one is we are going to select the data structure. We all know what is a data structure. See, when we work in analysis phase, we just identify the type of data we are going to use. We are going to work on the logical structure, right? But when we come to the design phase, we need to select the data structure. Data structure can be of any type. It can be the array. It can be list, linked list, it can be queue, stacks, sets, etc, etc. So we need to select on those. Next one is define new internal classes and operations. What does this mean? See, when we invent new operations, certain high level operations are being decomposed in low level operations, right? So when we expand the algorithm, what we need to do, we need to create new classes of objects to handle intermediate results. So to handle the intermediate results, we are somewhere in a situation where we define new classes. So those particular new classes and operations need to be defined when the algorithms are expanded to a specific version. Next point is the fourth point, that is assign operations to appropriate classes. Now, what does this mean, assign operations to appropriate classes? It says that when a class is meaningful in the real world, the operations on it are usually clear. It is always clear. So what we need to do is, whenever there is only one object involved in the operation, it is clear that we have to give the rights to that particular object. But whenever more than one object are involved in the operation, then we need to decide to whom we have to give the lead role to work on for the operation. So that particular decision is what is the assigning of operations to appropriate classes. That means if two or one or more objects are involved in the operation, so in that particular case we have to decide to whom we have to assign the operation. So these are the points which we need to remember for the designing of algorithm, right? So that's all for this session. Thank you very much.